Bridget, so good to see you. I love today's topic, 5 signs you are ready to retire early. As many as 54% of young or early retirees in Gen X report that they are considering unretiring. Their reasons for returning to work are both economic and emotional. That's according to a recent study from F&G Annuities and Life. So before you retire early, consider whether you meet these milestones. First, you are debt-free. Does that include your mortgage?
No, it doesn't necessarily include your mortgage. Many people carry a mortgage throughout their retirement, and as long as it's budgeted correctly, that's really not a big deal. And you may have deductible interest to boot, so it could help on the tax side. But some of the things you want to be out of debt on, you don't want to have credit card debt, you don't want to have a lot of big car loans, things like that that are a little bit more not or short term, shall we say, debt. You want to kind of eliminate that first. The main thing we're seeing that really people have to be realistic about is when they retire, they plan their budget kind of based on their actual spending that they have now while they're working. And they don't incorporate in enough for how their lifestyle is going to change because they really haven't thought through exactly how they want to spend every day of their future. And this is a long time we're planning for. So we have clients come in quite often that say, okay, for example, my budget is $6,000 a month and I'll be happy forever on that. And then within 6 months, they come in and they go, well, you know what? We're sending more like 12 because we're traveling and planning all these trips and all this stuff. The budget wasn't planned for that. So we really have to be realistic on what we're doing ahead of the game. And if that's just going to be, 5 or 6 years they're doing that kind of stuff, that's fine. Some people, it's a lot longer than that. So
right. Depending on how early you retire. And then got to factor healthcare into that, which we will bring in 1 second, not to get ahead of you. Next, if you are retiring early, you won't want to tap your retirement accounts just yet. So having multiple income sources becomes even more important.
This is a big one too, especially with Social Security, because a lot of times you don't want to take Social Security, or if you make too much money, you can't take Social Security before full retirement age. So you need to make sure that you have other income to cover those sources because, and that would be rental income, that could be other investment income, could be a side hustle, it could be a lot of different things, but you need to kind of be planning to bridge that gap, especially if you're retiring a lot earlier than most people do.
Right, because the earlier you claim Social Security, the less you get. Absolutely good point.
Yeah.
And next, you'll also want those strong retirement savings when you're old enough to tap them without penalty. So prior to retiring, taking advantage of those catch-up contributions can really help.
Absolutely. Yeah, we always encourage people to really kind of beef up as much as they can of their savings before retirement so that it is there and it's working for them to grow and continue to support them throughout retirement.
And also, this is what you were talking about earlier, Bridget, you've got to make sure you have a plan for healthcare because this can be astronomical. What are a few options?
Yeah, the average spend in healthcare in retirement is about $172,500. So most people don't have that amount of money just sitting in a bucket somewhere earmarked for healthcare. Health savings accounts, HSAs, are a great way to go because they are tax deductible, they earn tax free, and all the money comes out tax free too. So that's a good pool of money that you can start building ahead of time. That there is a reservoir for you when you need it when you're retired.
So that was all the financial stuff. Now let's talk about the emotional component, which I find very interesting. More than 40% of early retirees said they miss the challenge and stimulation of work in their daily lives. That's according again to F&G Annuities. So before you retire early, know how you're going to create that challenge outside the workplace, including strong social connections, daily structure, and a sense of purpose.
This is really interesting to me. I just read a book actually on the 4 stages of retirement. And when people first retire, they're just so excited they don't have to get up in the morning and they get to do whatever they want. And then they go through kind of a mourning stage where, what am I going to do? What do I really want to do with my life? And what does this mean? And I'm not useful anymore. And especially men tend to identify with their jobs a little more than women do. So in a lot of cases, not always, but in a lot of cases. So for them, it's an adjustment of, well, who am I without my job type thing. So you really have to make sure that you plan ahead for how you're going to spend your time and segue into something else that is important to you and where you do feel useless and needed. And then the third stage is where you really start having a little bit more fun. You're traveling, you're doing all the things that you wanted to do. And finally, the fourth stage is where you incorporate it all together and you have something that you're doing that's meaningful, that creates social connections, and you feel like you're contributing to society again.
It is such a balance, Bridget. And I mean, it's so great to talk this through with you because it's clear that it is so much more than a financial decision. But of course, you have to start with the numbers. So if somebody would like
Yes.
to sit down, crunch the numbers with you, create that plan to make sure their money lasts as long as their retirement, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, you can always call us at 480-581-8545 or check us out on our website, www.rileyhiggins.net.
Great. Bridget, thank you.
Thank you.